So today I'm going to show you how you can maximally optimize your grades while you're in university so that you don't have to suffer. I'm going to be sharing you a collection of tips that I really wish I knew in my year one because it would have saved me a ton of pain when it came down to studying and getting good grades. So who am I? Well, my name is Matthew. I'm a year two student currently studying financial technology and finance at the University of Hong Kong. If you're like me, you probably think that studying is a complete waste of time and that there's so much better things to do than studying. Like, for example, hanging out with your family, your friends, and just enjoying your university life. I think those things are much more important than studying. So in this video, I'm going to show you ways that you can think outside the box and kind of like hack the university system to get that GPA that you want. So the first thing that I have on my my list is something called the law of diminishing returns. Basically, each additional unit of something, let's say like a 0.1 GPA increase, will give you less overall benefit over time. Let's say I started with a 2.5 GPA, right? And I went from a 2.5 to a 2.6. Let's say I went from like a 4.1 GPA to like a 4.2 GPA. If you put this into perspective, when you're in 2.5 GPA range, you probably need that GPA increase anyways. But if you're in like a 4.1 GPA and you're trying to go from a 4.1 to a 4.2 GPA, it's gonna take a crap ton of effort, first of all. And second of all, that increase might not even be worth it. So the thing is, the law of diminishing returns basically states that at higher levels of GPA, an additional unit of GPA doesn't matter for shit. Why does this matter? I personally think that past the 3.6 GPA mark, you're not really getting anything much in return for an additional GPA increase. Actually, not 3.6, I'd say it's like 3.7 GPA. Like past the 3.7 GPA, if you're in like an engineering faculty like me, then it's pretty much not that helpful. Like I know a couple of seniors who had like a 3.6 something GPA, but had a couple of internships on their resume, and they got into like the really top bulge bracket banks in Hong Kong, like Morgan Stanley and Bank of America. So that's why I'm saying like GPA does not really matter at the higher ranges. Obviously, if your GPA is like below a 3.0, then you probably should work on that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't study, but what I'm trying to say is that if your GPA is like way up there in like the 4.0, 3.8, 3.9, additional unit of GPA doesn't really contribute to much of a college success. Plus, the thing is, if you're in university, you're basically graded on a curve. Say this is a 3.9 GPA. If you're trying to get from a 3.9 to like a 4.2, that increase is going to be so difficult because you're going to be competing with the top of the top students in your university. So in HKU, I will not even dream of getting a 3.9 or 4.2 GPA. It's very unrealistic for me. And for me to go from like 3.9 to a 4.2, that's gonna like give me so much stress. I have to spend so much more hours trying to study and get that increase in GPA that it's like not even worth it at that point. Plus, I'm also a little bit capped because of IQ. Like people say IQ doesn't matter, but I personally think that for grades and for taking tests, IQ absolutely matters. So IQ is trainable, yes, but if you compare yourself to the mainland kids, the mainland Chinese kids, and the Indian kids who have been grinding ever since they were like a little toddler, you're probably not going to be able to beat them at their own game. So instead of beating the Indian kids, the cracked Chinese kids, and all those other people at their own game, I'm going to suggest you a new strategy that you can employ, which is course selection. Course selection in university is literally a cheat code. I didn't know this when I was in year one. So when I was in year one, Sem 1, I enrolled in 4 of probably the hardest introductory courses that were available to me at that time. I enrolled in linear algebra, I enrolled in programming, accounting, and a really shitty philosophy course that I somehow got a B in, even though I did the stuff correctly. What I'm trying to say is that you need to be able to find the courses that have good grades. And in my year one, Sem 1, I really had the mindset that I would come into uni straight from high school and be able to adjust to the new curriculum. That was very stupid of me because the university curriculum and how you study in uni is totally different from how you actually study in high school. Like these two are like completely different. So if I could go back in time, what I would tell my younger self is to not enroll in 4 difficult courses at the same time. Some of those courses weren't that difficult. Like for example, accounting was pretty easy, but because I wasn't familiar with the exam system in uni, my grades in that semester were not that good. So instead, what I would tell my younger self would be to enroll in less difficult courses. Like I would enroll in more of the easier courses. So in HKU, we have something called Common Core courses. In other words, these courses are basically bullshit courses that you can enroll in to get 6 credits in your transcript and get a better grade. I did not enroll in any of these courses in my year 1 Sem 1. I did not enroll in any one of these courses. And there was also this other thing called free electives in HKU. And these free electives, you could also enroll in courses like Buddhism and sociology and philosophy and stuff like that, right? I did not enroll in any of these courses in my year 1 Sem 1. Looking back, the reason why my grades got absolutely cooked in my year 1 Sem 1 was because I did not balance these courses out properly. So in year 1 Sem 1, I got like a 3.32 GPA in HKU, which is like honestly not too bad, but for my standards, it's pretty shit. So, but in my year 1 Sem 2, I actually enrolled in 1 CC course and 1 free elective. I should have enrolled in 2 CCs and 1 free elective if I really wanted to boost my grade. But so I enrolled in this course called Buddhism. Like it was like BSTC 206 or something like that. Like it was like a bullshit Buddhism course basically. And I also enrolled in a CC course, which is about like spirituality and religion, because it's stuff that I was interested in at the time. And so guess what grades I got for these 2 courses? For Buddhism, I spent maybe around 10 to 12 hours drafting 2 reflective essays, which were each 1,500 words. And this course also had like an open book quiz that you could literally just GPT in class. So for this course, I spent maybe 12 hours total and I got an A for it. I literally got an A for it. Like I literally used GPT to GPT my freaking essay, and I used GPT to help me in the in-class quiz, and I got an A for it. And I literally did like jack shit for the course basically. For this course as well, they had like a field trip and a reflective essay, and I probably spent maybe like 6 to 7 hours on this course, and it got me an A minus. So that just goes to show that there's a very disproportional amount of effort that goes into the courses to get a better grade. So from some of my other courses that I enrolled in this semester, I didn't get that much of a high grade. Like I grinded really hard for my microeconomics course, but in the end, I still got a B+. I probably spent maybe like 40 hours on that course. So the moral of the story is you can choose easier courses so that you can spend less time on them and get a higher grade. Like university actually works like this. Like you can be retarded, you can be stupid and still get a really good GPA if you can plan your courses correctly. If you're not really bad at studying, you still need to learn how to study effectively and be able to learn effectively. Because for the other courses that are not these easy courses, you still have to grind your ass off for them. So for example, this semester I took a C++ programming course and like a financial derivatives course. Those 2 courses probably made up like 90% of my total workload over the entire semester. And I knew that. So I balanced it out with easier courses like philosophy and some business group project course. And because I was actually able to balance it out like that, I genuinely feel like I've done much better on these 2 exams than any of the other exams that I've previously done in the past. By the way, if you want to learn how to study more effectively, then link down below is my online community where we help you become the best version of yourself as a student. We have a course on evidence-based study methods that actually work, a course on time management and productivity, a course on exam tips and tricks, a 7-day protocol that you can literally implement in your daily life to see instant results. And we also have weekly Q&A calls. So if you like watching this type of educational content that actually improves your life, then I'm sure you would also love the stuff that we have down below. So on to the next section. I'm going to be talking about opportunity costs. When people make decisions in real life, they don't bother to think about the opportunity costs. So, okay, what is an opportunity cost? If you've taken microeconomics, again, you would know this because it's so important. So an opportunity cost is something that you sacrifice by choosing this option. So if I choose and spend my time on grinding out my grades, like spend an extra hour on grinding my grades, then that's 1 hour I could have used for something else. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because in college, I definitely think that there are extremely high opportunity costs of studying more. I'm not saying that you shouldn't study. Like that's not the goal here. The goal is to help you to understand that sometimes studying more is actually not optimal. And in this case, that 1 hour you could have spent studying could have been used for 1 hour to grind internship applications. Look, I cannot stress the importance of internships in college. If you're going into tech or finance, internships is literally so important. You can have a student who has like a 4.3 GPA but has 0 internships, and you can pit that against another student who has a 3.6 GPA but has like 2 internships down his belt. 90% of the time, the employers will probably choose the person who has work experience because they have demonstrated to the employer that they know how to actually work. Like the employer doesn't care about your freaking GPA. The employer wants to know whether you're actually smart, hardworking, and you can like actually work in a corporate setting. So if you flip the direction to be in the employer's shoes, you'll start to realize that past a certain point, which is like a 3.7 GPA in engineering, or maybe like a 3.8 GPA if you're in business, past that point, grades don't actually matter that much. So 1 hour you could have spent on internships is also 1 hour you could have spent having fun in university. Look, you're on a 4-year ticking time bomb, basically. Once you spend all these 4 years, you're basically not gonna have the same level of freedom in the future. You're probably gonna may have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You're probably gonna have kids at some point in your life. There really is no other point in time in life where you're free from your parents, but also free from your societal responsibilities. Now, I'm not saying that you should go fuck around and have fun. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm not saying that you should go party and like do all these things. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes you need to cherish the freedom that you have in university. So there's a couple of nights where my friends would literally knock on my door and say, "Yo, Matt, you want to go play some poker in some so-and-so's room?" And I would be like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, I have to study. And they'll just keep persistently knocking on my door and they'll be like, "Yo, come on, we're playing poker. Why don't you join?" And at that point I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, fuck it. Why not? I'll just go. And those types of moments where you embrace the randomness and the spontaneity of everything is realistically where you have the most happiness. When one embraces randomness, one also embraces the happiness and the unexpected pleasant events that occur when you choose to do something that's like completely spontaneous. It's also building relationships with other people. So to be honest, I personally think that uni is a mix. You have to balance your internships, your fun, your relationships, and your grades. I generally think that that's the 4 things that you have to balance in university. And mind you, it is quite difficult to balance all of them. And even now, I personally sometimes struggle to balance all of them. And so when it comes to relationships, like the people you meet in uni, some of them are probably going to be your lifelong friends. Or if not, then friends for maybe a couple of years after you exit uni. And I'm really lucky to be able to live in a dorm full of really cool people. And I'm able to build these meaningful relationships and these connections with so many competent and so many cracked people here. And so that's why I think like you shouldn't be just spending all your time studying, because you will find that the ROI on studying after a certain point becomes very like diminished. But the ROI that you can get from having a good relationships, whether it's with a romantic partner or with your friends, is actually very high. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that it might even have unlimited upside. Because like if you get like a girlfriend in university and you guys date and you guys somehow end up being married and have kids, that to me is like unlimited upside if you just spend your time more wisely in university. And that's what this video is about. So I hope you found this video useful, and I hope that after watching this, you'll be able to reflect on how you're going to spend your time in university. Again, this is advice that I would tell my younger self, so you can take it as you will. But as always, may God guide us in the right path, and I'll see you in the next video.